Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about Survivor Season 48, Episode 6, titled Doing the Damn Thing. Last week on Survivor, after an emotional immunity challenge, New Siva headed to Tribal, where Cedric was once again in the driver's seat, deciding to drive his bus right over voteless Bianca. Before I dive in, I put a link in the description to catch up on the season's recaps. If you like the content, consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. What do you think of the episode? If you use my link in the description, you could binge Survivor by trying Paramount Plus for free. But let's dive into it. Following Bianca's departure, Siva returned to camp, and Say is pissed at Cedric. Feeling like he's pulled the wool over her eyes too many times, Say thinks that Cedric voted for her and that Mitch and Chrissy voted Bianca, but Cedric clears up that Cedric and Chrissy were the votes for Bianca, which makes Say feel better. Cedric explains that he only had time to tell Chrissy about the last minute decision, so Say warms back up to Cedric. Mitch was left out of the vote, and he tells us if you don't have your crap together in the game, it could be you whose torch is snuffed out. The next day, players get messages that it's time to drop their buffs and move on to the next stage in the game. Kyle is excited that he's made new friends and to see his old tribe mates. Chrissy can't wait to introduce her 5 old Siva mates to her new friend Cedric, and at New Lagi, a big group hug. That's nice. The players all meet freely on the beach for the first time. Say is so excited to see Mary and play with her again, but Mary wants a fresh start and isn't as excited to be reunited. They get tree mail that soon they'll have a reward challenge where one person will win immunity, and there's an advantage hidden somewhere at camp. They scramble looking for the advantage, and while Charity is babysitting Say, Charity spots the advantage. She runs to get it, but Say was camouflaged in the greenery and beats her to the advantage that she can present to Jeff at the challenge. Elsewhere, little milk things. Joe and David are bonding over each drinking a gallon of milk a day at home. You know an udder hates to see them coming. Joe and Eva are back together. Eva fills Joe in on her alliance with David. Eva's ideal alliance is she, Joe, Shaheen, David, and Kyle. She tells Joe that she has Star's idol, and they get started forming what I'll call Eva's Avengers, an alliance they say is based on loyalty and integrity. David is down to get the strongest players together and steamroll the game. Kyle says he's down, but Camilla isn't included, making Kyle this alliance's biggest weakness. He and Camilla are still acting like they're not close. I'm left wondering, did the old Sivas also not know that Kyle and Camilla are close? On Camilla's side, she's working Mitch and Charity. Mitch still has his block a vote. Charity says she has bonds with Mary and Star, and Charity tells the old Sivas that Eva has Star's idol. Charity tells us the rational plan would be to cut Eva, and she advises Star to ask Eva for the idol back, but Star isn't down. Star runs this right back to Eva, ratting Charity out. Eva and Joe agree not to give the idol back to Star even if she asks for it. They head to their challenge where they'll be in 2 teams of 6, climbing through mud and other crap, helping each other climb up a ramp, and solving a survivor puzzle. The first team to finish earns the merge feast and a chance to play for individual immunity as the losers watch. One person will win immunity and make the merge. Say's reward is she gets to go straight to the second round and gets the merge feast. The teams are orange, Eva, Joe, Shaheen, Cedric, Mitch, and Charity, and purple, Mary, Chrissy, Camilla, Kyle, David, and Star. They get started, getting all muddy, which Jeff goes crazy for. Kyle and Mary are naturals in the mud. Interesting flex. They all crush the mud and move on to crawling through the wood shavings, and once they all look like Rick from Degrassi on a real bad day, they use the grappling hooks to get their puzzle pieces, where Orange gets to a slight lead. At this point, all of the players look the same. I don't know who anyone is if Jeff's not announcing it. They race up the wall and hoist each other up, with Cedric really struggling to get up there, as Mitch grabs Cedric like a sloth mama and carries him to the top. While Cedric has his Suri balance beam moment, Purple is getting way ahead on the puzzle. Mitch and Shaheen make some gains for Orange as David and Camilla slowly complete their puzzle, but Purple ends up winning the challenge and leaving Team Orange at risk and hungry. Clean Say and the Purples, which isn't a band name, compete in an endurance challenge, balancing a ball on top of a pole that they'll add sections to as they go to make it harder. Chrissy is first out with a satisfying ball bonk to the face, followed by Camilla. Jeff says David is ready for his close-up as Mary then Say fall out of the challenge. David drops and it comes down to Kyle and Star. In the end, Kyle wins immunity and is the first player to earn his buff, a gorgeous Vermona blue. At the merge feast, they've got beer, wangs, all the fixins. Star gets strategizing, quickly throwing Charity's name out there as a target. Through these conversations, Say learns about Eva's idol and Mitch's block a vote and takes detailed mental notes. Back at camp, Cedric feels bad that he cost the others the reward. The mood for the losers is far from immaculate. Charity decides an easy vote would be taking out Say, and while she works on that plan and criticizes Say for not being likable enough, the other players, both on the reward and off, are talking about getting Charity out. The winners return to camp. Say brags about all the food they had. Star gives a very emotional Cedric a great pep talk that calms him down, telling Cedric he's representing dads and doing things most men can't do, and he's doing the damn thing. Oop, she said the thing. But not only that, this is the best thing Star has done so far, both strategically and just great TV moment. After finding out Eva has the idol, Say tries to push Eva's name as a target, but when people aren't down, Say takes a step back, saying she's turned over a new leaf and is deciding to be more chill. But Eva finds out her name's out there and starts getting nervous, even going to strategize with Charity. They play musical chairs with their alliance in groups, which is chaotically and confusingly edited, but it seems like a chaotic day. They head to Tribal with Say and Charity as the most mentioned names. At Tribal, it's a full house. Mary says it's like they're at a packed dog park. Camilla says woof woof woof, and Kyle tells Jeff they're all sniffing each other's butts, which tickles Jeff. Jeff's got a fever, and the only cure is more metaphors, so he pivots to house party metaphor and then family metaphor. David says this Tribal will set the tone for the season, and that this is going to be the season of honesty and integrity. They get to voting. The most entertaining part of this Tribal was Star dropping the pen that looks like corn. Jeff asks for advantages, and when none are played, he reads the votes. There's votes in that thing for Say and Cedric, but ultimately Charity has the majority of the votes and is voted out of the game. The other players celebrate merging and getting their buffs. Mitch is visibly scared and shook, realizing that he might not, in fact, have his crap together in the game after all. Analyzing these votes, there were 7 votes for Charity and 5 votes for Say, with 1 vote for Cedric from Say. Seems like everyone band together and agreed to split these votes for Charity to go home and Say as the backup plan. Say voting for Cedric is interesting. Random revenge vote? Excited to hear more about that next week. But we have to say goodbye to Charity here, who preseason got a lot of comments from other players saying they got bad vibes from her before they even started playing. She gets onto Siva and contributed to that tribe being strong in challenges, but her tribe just didn't like her from the start, it seems, to the extent that 4 players on the tribe formed an alliance off the commonality that they didn't like her and wanted her out. I'm glad she found a friend in Mitch, but had that tribe gone to tribal council, she was the likely boot. But they didn't, and at the tribe swap, she did mix and mingle, but she thought she was dog walking David in the game, which was far from the truth. And again, had that tribe got to tribal, she was the likely boot, but they didn't. And here in this round, she had plans that were logical, and for a second, I thought she was onto something, until everyone instantly undermined her. In the end, pretty much the entire group bands together to orchestrate her demise. I said last week she was the likely boot, and at her first tribal, she was toast. She's a strong physical player and has a strategic mind, but lacks some self-awareness that I think she could gain from watching herself back on the show, and from fan feedback that does give her potential to be better on a second reality TV go-round. She's one that I could see going on the challenge and doing really well. Coming into next week, I do worry that the strong person alliance can just steamroll the game. With them preaching honesty and integrity, it comes across so self-righteous to me, and I can't help but to root against that. But that's all I have to say about this episode. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Mergatory and Charity's boot. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back next Wednesday with more Survivor. I'm also recapping the challenge and $1 Million Secret, which I've been loving. Until next time, you know where to find me. Bye.